It's so nice to have a room full of friends, and that's wonderful for Eileen and for me. And so we're just going to start out with Eileen introducing herself, and then I'll ask a series of questions and try to keep her from going back to the 13th century. Because she knows about it, I promise. So Eileen, would you please tell everyone about yourself? Introduce yourself.
Shall I tell them my name?
Sure. Talk as loud as you can, okay?
Well, my name is Eileen Bankson, and generally when I was going to school, they called me Mary Eileen, and so I'm Mary Eileen Bankson. And what else do you need to know? Where I was born. I was born in Walsenburg, and attended schools there. I attended the Catholic school as a child, and grew up there. And of course, in later years, then I moved here when I married. But Walsenburg was such a joy. It really was. I loved the Catholic school. I learned so much there. Sister Mary Ann was my teacher. This is really interesting. I probably shouldn't say this, but she was firm, let me tell you. You know, and she would really scold us. But this is interesting. When Father would come in, she would. I noticed that even as a child, I'm probably 6 years old, I noticed that she would change completely when Father would walk in, you see. So, but anyway, what else would
Well, can you tell us about your parents and your siblings and your grandparents, if you'll...
My mother was Julia Ann Ward, and she was born here in La Veta. My father is Lucas Sanchez. He was born in Walsenburg, so my history then goes back to both places. Mother graduated from La Veta High School in 1921, and after she graduated from high school, she and her friend Peggy, Matilda, but they called her Peggy, they took the state teacher's examination, and both passed. Peggy went on to teach, I can't remember where now, but Mother took a position at the post office as assistant postmistress. And so that's where she met Daddy, you know, because Daddy used to come in from Walsenburg. And I remember Mother telling me the first time that Daddy went into the post office, Mr. Kincaid, he said, "Oh, I should have introduced you to Luke Sanchez." But anyway, so then Daddy, of course, he was visiting the post office quite often because he was interested in my mother. You know? So I was born, they married, of course, and then I was born in 1924 in Walsenburg in the big house. When I say big house, it could have been a landmark if the people that bought it had not reduced it to a one-story, because it was 3 stories. My grandfather was very wealthy. He had about 60,000 acres, I think it was, paid taxes in 3 counties, Huerfano, Los Animas, and Huerfano, Los and Pueblo County. And of course he had the Santa Clara Ranch, and he had the Chico Ranch. That's just a little bit out of Walsenburg. Going toward Trinidad on the left-hand side, that was the Chico Ranch. And Llewellyn, what else?
Well, the people that had built our house, the rumor was that they had built the courthouse also. My grandkids.
Tell them about your father, what he did for a living.
Daddy was a policeman. And for many, many years in Walsenburg. And of course, when he moved to Pueblo, then he worked for the sheriff's office. So all his life, he was in law enforcement, you see. So Mother was interesting. She was a lovely lady. My goodness. She was a Girl Scout leader and took special training for scouting. And also, she started the Subject Club for girls. And I think that was just wonderful. And I can still remember they gave her a shower it was, you were going to be born Llewellyn. I still remember that. But my mother was quite a philosopher. She loved music, she loved history. We had in the big house, it was so lovely, there were 2 fireplaces, a green marble, the other one was blue marble. We had lovely Christmases, and of course there was a banister, you know, that go up. I used to love to slide down that banister, which is wonderful, you know. But anyway, the Christmases were so beautiful. And Mother, I can still remember, she always made gingerbread boys and delivered them to all the children in the neighborhood. Yes.
Wonderful.
Now then.
Oh, don't forget her fruit cake. She made wonderful fruit cake.
Oh, yes, she did. Yeah, she really
That was
did.
one of her specialties.
But I had a beautiful mother and father, beautiful wife. They loved us, and Mother, of course, I think she might have been the stronger of the two, wouldn't you say? You always supported her, they always supported Mother, you know. But yes, we had a beautiful childhood. There were 4 of us. I was the oldest. And then there was Selma, she passed away. And she was the socialite in the family. Yes. You know, lots of friends, and she was a country club person, you know. I'm not, you know. But anyway, then there was Delphine. She was the beauty in the family, beautiful. Did you find her picture? Oh, did you really? She was the beautiful ballerina. We had to have classical piano or classical dance. And as I say, she was just beautiful in those poses, just lovely. Llewellyn went on to teach school. That's Llewellyn, my baby. She's my baby sister. And Selma was the beauty operator. As a matter of fact, she did practice beauty work here in La Veta at one time, you know. And what's the next question? What else do I have to say?
Can you share with us your schooling in Walsenburg?
Oh, yes. Now, the music. We had the large home, and so Mother and Daddy rented rooms. So they rented to Mary L. Nichols. I don't know whether any of you know Jewel Pryor. Jewel, yes. Do you know? Well, she used to take lessons from Mrs. Nichols as well, and a beautiful pianist. But anyway, that was my first teacher, and my second was Sister Mary Felix. That was my 6th grade teacher. And I can still remember, she gave me, I think I was in the 6th grade, she gave me Brahms' Hungarian Dance No. 5. Well, I didn't particularly care for it. So when I did go to my lesson, I said, Sister, I lost my music. And you know what she said to me? That's all right, Mary Eileen, I have another copy. So that took care of that, you know. But I think Sister Mary Felix was my idol. You know, I think I mentioned that to you, Peggy. She was so lovely. The interesting thing about it is we had a nice rapport. We really got along beautifully. And but she was my 6th grade teacher. But in class, she was a little indifferent toward me. She was not going to treat me special. You know, she treated everyone alike. But I thought, gee, she's changed. She just doesn't seem to be the same toward me, you know. But anyway, then what else, Peggy?
Well, did you have responsibilities after school, like practicing the piano, or just?
Oh, well, yes, I had that
Was a given.
All was wonderful. I always loved to play. But anyway, yes, we have responsibilities. The usual thing that girls have to do dishes, we have to dust and sort, this sort of thing. But what I love to do the most is feed the pigeons and feed the bunnies. Daddy loved pigeons. And so that was my responsibility. And then we fed the bunnies. We had, oh my goodness, half of the yard was with, what you call them? They're little places where they, you know.
The hutches?
Yes, hutches.
And were they pets or were they food?
No, Daddy once in a while would butcher and then sell to the various stores there.
And the pigeons?
Oh, that was just fun. And I can remember one time, I can't remember her name, but anyway, I traded a pigeon for a bicycle. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I can't think of her name now. But anyway, we really caught it. Oh my goodness, you know. And let me see.
Did you get to keep the bicycle?
Oh no, I had to give it back to her. The pigeons had to come back. I used to love to feed the pigeons and the bunnies, so that was fun. And
Didn't Dad enter you in races when you were young?
What was that, honey?
Against the boys, run you when you ran races?
oh yes, I was Daddy's tomboy.
Yeah.
And I can remember he used to line up the boys, you know, and then of course I would compete. And I could generally beat them too. I was Daddy's tomboy. I was.
What were some of the gifts that you received as a young child that you cherished?
Daddy took me to Pueblo to go shopping. Took me to a music store, and I bought the Beethoven Minuet in G, and I bought Schubert's Serenade, and I still have them. I still have them, yes, and I just love music, I did, I was just, and you know, of course, there was not a music store in Walsenburg, so when I go to Pueblo, we would engage in a lot of music and things like that. So
Can you share some about Walsenburg, what was going on at that time when you were growing up?
It was a mining community, of course, you know, most of the children that went to school were from the mining camp, and they had to ride the school buses back and forth, you know. It was, you know, time changes things, you know. Walsenburg isn't quite like it used to be, but that's inevitable, that's just the way it goes. But I didn't know there were such happy times there. I went to Catholic school. You know.
Was it strict? Did you?
Oh my gosh. The nuns were very, very strict. And I can remember though that, I think it was my freshman year, Lucille Saliba was her name. She was the dance instructor. The school would hire her once a year for a beautiful program, you know. And so I never will forget, they would select girls and boys, freshmen, sophomore, and so forth. And I remember I was selected to take part in this program. And another thing that I remember, after recess, Sister would line everybody up, and I would play a march for them to go to their class. To do that. Yes, yes, is that something? But anyway, they were very strict. The nuns were very, very strict, you know.
Okay. Do you remember any world events that happened that made an impact on you
I
growing
sure
up?
do. My father loved politics. I do too. But anyway, I can remember President Hoover. And I think I was maybe, see, I was born in 24. That was about in 31, 32. And Daddy was a strong Republican, he really was. And so, and I kind of remember the crash. Like in 1929, I still remember Mother and Daddy talking about that. And we didn't have to suffer that much though. As I say, Daddy was always a policeman and always worked, so we were very fortunate. I do remember when people were so poor there. I still remember that. And I can remember a little cousin of mine apparently didn't have a coat. And Daddy bought her a coat. I never will. Martha, I think was her name. And bought her a coat for the winter, you know. But there were such happy times. And St. Mary's was just a block away from where we lived. And so it was just a wonderful time. It was.
When did you learn how to drive and who taught you?
I was 16, Daddy did. Daddy taught me to drive. And there was one time we were coming back from Pueblo. I was 16 at the time. And Daddy was very, very tired. And he said, why don't you drive? He trusted me. So I was driving along the highway, and I said, Selma, that's my sister, don't turn around, but the patrolman is behind us. Well, why did she do? So we were stopped. And I think Daddy kind of talked me out of a ticket or something.
Yeah.
Or Daddy a ticket or whatever, because I don't remember anything happening after that.
Were you a good driver? Just curious.
I already think I still am.
All right.
But however, that one back there, they don't allow me to go to Pueblo. I tend to fall asleep at the wheel.
Oh, well,
I can still drive. I mean, I would trust myself in Pueblo because I know Pueblo so well, but I have a tendency to fall asleep. But you know, I did, right after Ralph died, I was on my way to Pueblo on a Sunday afternoon. I fell asleep. It was right in Pueblo, but there was a field, and there were about 2 or 3 trees. There's 2 or 3 trees. The car rolled over, but did you know, had I not hit one of those trees, I would have landed in the Arkansas or the railroad tracks. Somebody upstairs spared me. Did.
What did you do after high school?
We moved to Pueblo, and there, of course, I had to study music again. Lou Ellen studied at the conservatory. I did for a while till I got married. And Delphine studied ballet, classical ballet, and she was to open up a school of ballet and dance in Canyon City. She passed away. She did. And I worked at the music store.
Oh.
Right after high school, it was Martin Music. That's where I worked and loved it. And then I met Walt, and then married, of course. But I studied with a theory and harmony from a man by the name of Mays. His last name was Mays. I think of his first name now. But he asked Mother and Daddy if he could teach me, And he was a jazz musician, but he really knew his harmony and theory. And then I studied with Sister Mary Felix. Then just a short time at the conservatory. Then I married and studied with Waldo Richards. He was a music teacher here. He played at the Methodist Church. And when he left, then I was asked to play at the Methodist Church. And I played there 64 years.
Wow. How many students did you have through the years, Eileen?
Over 100.
Wow.
I've taught many, many to play, Ellie. I'm not going to say many, many, but there's a number of them. She's one.
That's a lot.
She is one. And Tammy Smith was another one. Renee Gimmer, Teresa Gordon. Oh my goodness.
Lots.
I've just taught more and more of those things.
Well, share with us some of the highlights of living in La Veta through the years.
When Walter brought me here as a bride, I just loved it here. It was just different, country folks. It has changed, but I still love it here. At that time, we didn't have the art gallery, and there were just a number of business places we didn't have, and I can remember that, but there was something else. Oh, Francisco Fort. Oh my goodness, that's been the love of my life. But anyway, yes, it was beautiful here, and again, I loved playing for church. And I started teaching shortly after I moved here. But it was very nice here, it was. It's always been a little bit of a tourist town, not a little bit, quite a bit of a tourist town in the summertime.
So you can expand on the Francisco Fort Museum if you'd like to, in your
One of
involvement.
my loves. Yes, I love history, and I just felt just wonderful when I asked if I could work. I think Edna Schmidt was director at the time, and it's just that museum is just absolutely fascinating. I just can't get over it. So much history there, and I was intrigued with Louis Sporleader finding that, what would you call him? Not a rapier. It's a sword, some sort of Spanish sword that was found by the East Peak, you know. And he was quite a historian. But I worked there for many years, and then one summer, might have been in 82, 81, I was going through the Sporleader artifacts that they, or you know, that they, I think it was Louis Sporleader Bazarczyk that gave all of the treasures, Sporleader treasures to the museum. But I knew, oh gosh, that's a beautiful story. I knew that there was a shawl that the Sporleader family had, and the way the bed shawl. The way Mr. Sporleader acquired that shawl was in the 1920s. Is it all right if I tell just a little
Yes,
bit
go
of
ahead.
that? It was in the 1920s, and he, loving history so much, found out that Stefana Bent Hicklin was living in Wassenberg. You love that story, Catherine, don't you? Yes, and also, loving history, he thought, I'm going to meet her, and she lived with the Rice family. And I remember the Rice family, by the way, and I remember where she lived. But he met Stefana, and she gave him her mother's beautiful shawl that Charles Bent had given her. Gave him pictures and other things, you know. But anyway, so the shawl eventually, or rather she gave Mr. Sporleader the shawl to give to one of his daughters. It ended up with Louise Bazarczyk, Sporleader Bazarczyk. So when she passed away, all of the treasures, Sporleader treasures came to the museum. So I was cataloging, and I pulled out this beautiful shawl. And then I thought, could that be the Bent shawl? And I put it back into the bag. But I kept thinking about it all year. But I cataloged it as coming from the, or rather could it be the Bent shawl? That's how I cataloged it, with a question mark. So the following summer, I took it out again. Down at the bottom was the identification where mi amiga Stefana Bent Hicklin gave me her mother's shawl, Ignacia Hermio, wife, rather partner of, well, he said wife, of Charles Bent, first territorial governor of New Mexico. Of course, there wasn't a marriage. It was all the, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. The shawl, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I went to see Nancy Christopherson, who's a beautiful historian, and she just couldn't believe it. It was wonderful. The board, some of the members of the board took the shawl to Denver, to the Historical Society, I think it was. They said, oh my goodness, it's a treasure. Put it under glass, use archival gloves, don't handle it, you know, just. So we acquired that shawl. Now, Catherine has written something beautiful. I wish I had it here, Catherine. Did you read about that shawl?
It's at the museum, yes.
Is it? Lots of history radiates from that shawl. You're not going to believe it or not. Okay, there was, Ignacia's father was Francisco Jaramillo, the mother was Apollonia V. Hill. And I think I've mentioned to a number of you, I've traced the V. Hill genealogy documented to the 1300s. Well, she links, okay, I also am a V. Hill. I'll be doggone if I don't link to that shawl.
Hey,
I do.
that's fun.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
Oh, I really, it's just wonderful, Have all of you seen the shawl? Oh, it is beautiful, isn't it? And there's going to be a program on the shawl sometime. Catherine has written a sort of a, what would you call it, Catherine?
Multimedia sort of thing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Short. With
But
some of the
anyway,
characters.
so what else?
Can you tell us about your children and your grandchildren?
Oh,
She has wonderful children and grandchildren I want her to share.
the love of my life. Now there's Laura. Laura Curris graduated from high school here, went to school here from kindergarten to 12. When she was going into the 7th grade, they were going to have an all-school play. So everyone from K to 12, everyone was trying out for it. And albeit they didn't give her the lead part. They did. She loves drama. As a matter of fact, music and drama. That's what she studied when she was going to school at the university. But anyway, she was very creative. Becky was the scholar, but Laura was the creative one. When she wrote a beautiful song, music and words, for her graduation class. And it was played and sung at graduation. Well, the fellow from Trinidad, I can't remember whether he was Dean, but anyway, he heard that because he was the main speaker. He gave her a scholarship. He gave it just right then and there. He gave her a scholarship. But she's a beautiful pianist, and of course she studied music. That was her love, really, as mine is. And when she graduated from Trinidad, she and her teacher played the processional and recessional, together on the keyboard. And but Laura is, I wish I could be like her in so many ways. Isn't that something to say? Everybody loves her. She is so genuine and such a beautiful pianist. A large repertoire.
Talk to him about where she lives and what she
She
does.
lives in New Zealand. She married a young man that she met at the university. And he was economist after he graduated, economist for the city of Pueblo. Then got this offer to go to New Zealand and teach at Lincoln University. And so he taught there. He's retired now. But Laura, from the very beginning, taught piano and studied at Canterbury under the artist in residence at Canterbury, Eola Shelley. Now, when I go to New Zealand, I also study there. I also studied there. It was Eola, but there was another teacher, I can't remember her name now, but two of them there. But anyway, this is interesting. She and I played a duet together when we were studying there. And so Eola said, I don't know, she said, this particular part that you went on to analyze, this particular part. And so I told Laura that this is this piece of music that we were playing. I said to Laura, I wonder if I should say something to her, because I disagreed with her. I did. And I thought, she's our instructor. And I thought, I think I will. And I said, I'm hearing things a little differently. I think there's a dialogue going on in this piece of music, rather than what she said, see? But she respected that. She really did. And I think that's the beauty of music, you do analyze and interpret. So when I go to New Zealand, that's what we do. We study at the university, and it's just incredible.
And Bucky?
Bucky was our scholar. He went to Pueblo, his first 2 years, degree in biology, chemistry. Then went on to Fort Collins. He did get a scholarship to go to, is it Ohio State? The Iowa State, yes. But he chose to go to Fort Collins and graduated with a master's in agronomy. This is really interesting. When he was an undergraduate, I think he was only about 17, going on 18 when he entered school. And this surprised me, what I'm going to say. I was going through some of his papers, his freshman year, of course. There I seen the philosophy of religion. He was a quiet one, or was he, Peggy?
No. Betsy and I know the inside story.
They graduated the same class. But there was the philosophy of religion. And I thought, he's a quiet one at home. Anyway, I thought, well, what's with him? You know, I thought that was interesting. But anyway, he graduated, went out to Fort Collins, and received his master in agronomy. And he married, and he applied to go as a missionary to Zaire, which is the Belgian Congo. And I thought, that's interesting, interesting. But anyway, so they spent 7 years there. Before that, they went to France to study French, and Christopher was born there. By the way, his wife also has her degree in chemistry. She's a mathematician, in mathematics, still teaching. And she teaches at the community college, I believe. But anyway, so they studied the French language, went on to Zaire, lived there 7 years. Christopher was born in France. Emily was born in Africa. And Beth was born here. But anyway, they were there 7 years, but they had to get out of there. It was dangerous, very dangerous for them to stay there, because there was a lot of turmoil there. So they came back. He entered seminary at Fuller Seminary in Los Angeles, I believe is where it is. Then he received his Master of Divinity, and he's a Methodist minister now in Indiana, Rochester, Indiana. Bucking Valley has 3 children. The oldest one is, the youngest is, there's Beth. I forgot her name. Emily graduated valedictorian of her class, went on to Huntington University and graduated as a top student at the university. And her degree is biology, chemistry as well. She is a missionary in Africa. I don't know, she was here for about 3 months, but she's back in Africa teaching now. She's in where? I can't remember where she is now.
Zambia.
Is she in Zambia?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, now Christopher, his undergraduate is airport management. He always wanted to be a pilot. He couldn't because he has kind of a sleep disorder. But then he went on to get his master's in business, worked for Goldman Sachs for a number of years. He's working for another company now, but I can't remember just what it is, but in business, of course. And Beth, her degree is same thing as Crystal Heike's. It's sports management or something like that, yes. But then she's a masseuse now. She went on to study that, so that's what she's doing now. And but I wish they'd come home.
And tell them about Brian. Is it junior or the second or whatever?
Brian, oh gosh, my daughter. Hey, she has 2 boys. Brian is the pianist. but I mean, he is a pianist. He's just incredible to listen to. He went on to study at Wellington. He played a Mozart with the Christchurch Symphony. It was the Mozart Piano Concerto, and it was televised. And I'd love to have that. I think it's a little different. I think it's different here. There are instruments or whatever. What do you call them? But anyway, he played before Wellington. He won the most outstanding young pianist in Christchurch. And there was a time when he was, I don't know if he was competing or not, but Maurice Till is the most outstanding concert pianist in New Zealand. He heard Brian play, gave him a scholarship. He played a Chopin ballade. Oh, it is beautiful. I tinker with it, but I can't, it's too much. But anyway, it was just beautiful. And so gave him a scholarship. And then he went to Wellington, I think, to the conservatory there. But I supply Brian because they class him in the category of a concert pianist. And I said, why, Brian? It's too stressful, Grammy. Too stressful. So he went on to study computers, and that's what he's doing. He married a beautiful lady from Thailand. She's Asian. And she's a social worker. They live in the North Island. And of course, he's done a lot of computer work and this sort of thing for a hospital in New Zealand. And Brian is special, very special. Then there's Bert. Bert has also studied computers, which is the thing today, I guess. And that's what he does as well. Bert, Laura's husband, taught at the university, and he is a writer. He and another professor have written books on economics. I don't understand that. But anyway, they have a extremely beautiful marriage. Both of my children do. But you can imagine how that makes me feel. Beautiful children. And now then, I have a great-grand, Caleb. He just entered the University of Wellington. He's studying Japanese. Can you imagine that? And computer science as well. He wants to go to Japan and teach English, and that's why he's studying. So my family are going on with their lives. It seems I'm happy for them. They seem happy, and that makes me happy.
Can you give us kind of a brief, and I say that lightly, overview of what you've done with your genealogy? Because I know it can go on forever, but I do. But can you just kind of give us a hint of what you've learned, how far back and how many years?
Oh my goodness gracious, it's incredible what I've got. Well, I've done lots of genealogy on my mother's side and my father's side as well. And I have told a number of you that my genealogy goes, well, this is why I link to the Shaw, it's on the hillside. You know, and I trace them to the 1300s, document it. If you can document, it's wonderful. There are times when you have to assume, you know, because that's just the way it is. But the Hill genealogy is documented to the 1300s. It's a beautiful genealogy. And as I say, Apollonia, the hill that links to the Shaw, I link to her as well. So I link to the Shaw. Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
But anyway, now my genealogy, I've done just a lot on my father's side and my mother's side as well. Yes, it's incredible. It's wonderful. I love it. I spent so much of my time doing that, and maybe one of these days I'll share you know, yes.
Do you have a special saying or expression that you want to share with us?
Use a sort of a philosophy. kind of.
Yeah, it could be philosophy.
Treat other people like you like to be treated. And I taught my children well. I did. Now, and there's, I think I have something written here. Oh gosh, I gotta put my glasses on.
They're in your hand,
So-
Eileen. Hey, I've done that too many times, I know.
They take care of you. 90 years old, and you expect. But anyway, let's see. This is, I think the golden rule. I guess I taught my children that golden rule. And compassion, harmony. Oh, and I have got with them. Oh my goodness. My philosophy. Love, L-O-V-E. Isn't that beautiful? I just, oh my. And it says here, they have an understanding heart. Maybe it's a feeling, isn't it? Rather than the external aspects of things, just kind of think with your heart. That precious essence within. That heart is my favorite of mine. But something else. Do you know what is very good for all of us? Be silly once in a while. Be silly once in a while. And I'm kind of that. You know, what else?
Well,
Say,
if you could do anything differently in your life, what would you do differently? Anything?
I love what I'm doing. I love music. I love history. I've done some writing. And I'm still trying that Charles story. I told Catherine if I can get it done, I'm going to pass it on to her. Because I think you love the story, don't you, Catherine?
I do. Just a little tiny thing about Laura. That shawl, as far as we know, and I can compare it with one at the Spanish Colonial Museum in Santa Fe on Museum Hill, same period. It takes up a whole room there. They have made so many discoveries and exhibits about it. That shawl of ours, which at one point, you haven't mentioned it, but Eileen rescued. I can talk about that. But anyway, that was made right before 1800. So it's really an 18th century shawl. And it was originally, the silk was woven in China, where it came from. And it went to the Philippines in those days by a large ship and was embroidered there by missionaries in kind of Christian symbols. But I asked Laura if she could find some Chinese music of that period. I thought that would be an interesting way to open up a little program about it.
Is it Laura?
Your Laura.
Yes, my Laura.
Laura.
She did compose.
Yeah, and she did. She emailed me some music. And then Mary Jean Fowler told me exactly the kind of looms it was made of. So we're just beginning, but we could put a lot together about that beautiful shawl.
Fantastic.
And it's your shawl.
Leslie over there.
Well, I've asked Eileen some real basic questions, and I'm sure that some of you might have some more in-depth questions that you would like to ask her, and we have some time, so feel free to ask a question if you...
Well, you know about that shawl, folks work, nothing against them now, the folks working there didn't even know who Charles Bent was. That would have been draped over a piano or a chair. But they told the board in Denver, we have something absolutely priceless. New Mexico would give anything to have that shawl. Think what we've got there. Oh my goodness. You know, it's...
Well, I don't have a question, but I'd like to say that back in the 80s, I think somewhere, the first Fort Francisco Day, the town didn't own the museum then, or maybe they always owned it, but they didn't really have much to do with it. And we had to pay the mortgage because that wasn't given, a lady owned that and they bought it from her. And so Eileen came up with the idea of having a Pioneer Day, and we all got together. I worked there then for free. We used to work, I always have to say that, we all worked at the museum for free. And she and a few others, Janine Anderson was one, myself, Pat, we all did the first Fort Francisco Day, and I'll never forget
Wasn't
that
that
because
fun?
it was, we all stood around thinking, is anybody gonna come to this? And then everybody came to it.
Oh, wait, it has been
I think it was
wonderful.
80, what year was that?
I'm about 82, 80,
It's early 80s.
my maybe 79.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it was,
but these girls
I'll always
really,
remember
oh
that,
my
but it's
goodness, I
right,
can't
yeah.
believe you weren't, oh,
she thought of
she,
that.
Peggy, she directed the melodrama.
I did,
Yeah.
I forgot.
Wasn't that the first, the very first? Now, I want to tell you folks something. I'm the idea person, but somebody else has to follow through.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Any other questions, anyone? Anybody have a question?
Tell me about, Eileen, tell me about your husband. I can't remember him very well.
Ralph?
Ralph
Sorry,
or Walter?
Ralph,
Ralph.
yeah.
Oh, he was my savior.
When did you marry him?
Oh, what year did I marry him, Peggy? Can you remember? I can't remember names.
1986.
Thank
Was it
you.
86, a little one? Yes.
And he was a nice
She was giving him piano lessons, let's tell the truth. And he moved in on her, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, wait a minute, I was there, because I took piano lessons before him, he was always there, and I thought, okay, something's going on. You could tell, he was in love.
He was the finest gentleman, oh my goodness. He was my angel, my savior, my everything. Yes. So I was very, very fortunate, you know, that Ralph Banks, I shouldn't read it, but he wrote a beautiful poem about Mary Eileen.
You can read it if you have
I
it.
read it, I don't know where it is.
Oh, okay.
Llewellyn, can you find it?
Oh, oh gee.
You know, well, that's okay, unless you want to.
I think Kim has did you have a
Yeah, I
question?
have a question. Did your grandfather lose any land then when the Depression came?
Do you know that, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. I think it was in '89 that there was still some land that he owned between Walsenburg and Trinidad. And they wanted to know if the family wanted to, you know, I don't know whether it was for taxes or I can't even remember. But there was still some land. What?
It was taxes.
Was it? But can you imagine 60,000 acres and that home? Oh my gosh.
He owned part of the Hatch Ranch, not all of it, but part
Oh.
of it.
Yes, and the Chico Ranch,
And our family.
Santa Clara Ranch.
Well, Ellen, if you want to come up, you're welcome to. Please come up.
Well, I was just gonna say, on both sides of the family, there was, education was really stressed. Here, I'll move this over here.
Can we put a chair?
That's perfect. Yeah, right beside Eileen's perfect. Thank you, Sam. See, Sam's a doer. I love it.
On my dad's side, one of his brothers, he had a degree from Regis College, and then Dad, he graduated from high school in 1914 and worked on the ranch, and then got drafted into the service, World War I, and he did want to go on to college to Creighton to be a dentist. And Grandpa, he promised him, he said, when you get out of the service, you know, I'll go in and put you through college. Well, meantime, Grandpa died of pneumonia in 1919, right after the dad came home. So he had to help Grandma with the ranches, so he didn't get to go on to college. And then Grandpa Ward, he went to CC, Colorado College. I don't think he graduated though, did he? But
I think
he
he went 2
went
years,
about-
3 years.
yeah, about 3 years. So there was a lot of education on both sides of the family, and it was stressed.
19, see, Mother was born 1900, still was more like 1985, maybe, or 18.
Let's see, Mom, who are you talking about?
Oh, Grandpa Ward.
Oh, About 1865, something.
Well, 1880, no, I'm talking about when he went to Colorado College.
Oh.
William Slocum was
Mhm.
president then. There's a Slocum Hall there now. too.
And I do have some of his old college books from CC. And I also have a Henry Longworth Wordsworth. Say it for me. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I can't get it out. Anyway, I do have a copy of that. It's from, it's 18, and it was his, by the way, 1880 or something. But it's an old one, old copy.
You know, there was something I was going to say about Grandpa Ward that I loved. He had loved him so much. I used to go to Denver to spend time with my grandparents. So on Sunday morning, Grandpa would come into the bedroom and say, "Mary Eileen, you have a duty." That duty was to play at the mission church. Yes, so he and I would...
How old were you then?
About the 6th, 7th grade.
Wow, okay.
I've been playing hymns forever. But you know, I really, from my experience, for students that really want to love hymns, I'll tell you what, that is the best form of practice. Well, look at Peggy. She's played hymns beautiful pianist. She's played hymns all her life. And look, see, that's what I mean, those hymns. Because there you have different keys, and there you can study your harmony and theory there, four-part harmony, counting. It's wonderful.
Kim?
Why did your family move to Pueblo instead of stay down here at that time?
Well, it was politics, a lot of it. Daddy, you know, the Democrats and Daddy, it was a political job. And so when he went to Pueblo, though, just immediately he started working for the
The
sheriff's
police
office.
department, they were Republicans when he was there. And then when they lost, then he got a job at the PAD with the Army Engineer Corps.
So it was job related? that's
Oh, yeah,
why.
and then
Okay.
from there he went on and he was in the sheriff's office till he retired.
Okay.
And they were Republicans, of course, in Pueblo. Because Pueblo is a Democratic
Right.
town, so yeah, it's kind of unusual to have it.
But you know, I get to think, you know, Lou Ellen, the beautiful parents we had.
Oh, yeah, they were wonderful.
And Mother loved to dress us. She really did, didn't she?
I think I'm correct. Your mom lived to be 198.
98.
Okay.
And I'm 90, so see, I have 8 more years to
And
go.
then,
But God has really blessed me, believe me. I can still play, you know, and I can still read. I think I read a little too much, though, because I notice my eyesight's getting a little funny now, you know. But, we've had a beautiful life.
the only thing is, they grew up, my 3 sisters grew up in a great big house, and I grew up in a little house.
Any other questions, anyone? John?
If you were to leave a final thought for the future, what would it be?
A final thought for the
Good
future.
question.
Well, that's a good question. A final thought for the future.
That could be an
We
evening of
hope,
discussion. couldn't it?
I would hope, I hate to say this, but I'm hoping that things can be worked out according to God's will throughout the world, the problems we're having now. I'm hoping and praying. But Llewellyn, we won't talk politics, that's, you know, but anyway, well, it just seems like, I just can't believe what's going on. So let's hope and pray that the future will work out, you know, but, yes, I just pray. Oh dear me, but anyway, did I answer your question?
Pretty close.
Eileen, do you get to go back to New Zealand this year?
I'm hoping so. I'd like to go one more time. Oh, it's beautiful. I've been there 7 times. And then what I like to do is study at the conservatory, that's what I like to do, you know, and my family. And, and Laura's coming this summer. And if we can get her, to, you know, the Art Guild has sponsored us in concerts, you know, and recitals or whatever. And I'm hoping that she's a beautiful pianist. Beautiful pianist. And you know, the thing about it, her husband is so funny. When Bert comes home, you know, he'll say, "Did you practice?" Did you practice? But she owes so much to him. She absolutely loves music. And you know, he's just fascinated with her. I think he fell in love with her partly because, you know, of her. But maybe I can talk her into giving a recital. She has a large repertoire. She does. Yes, she sure does. And it's all classical. Of course, we're classical pianists.
I'd like to encourage everyone to look at all of the things on that back table that Eileen and Llewellyn have put together for you to look at. There's some great pictures, and there's probably a whole lot more history, you know, that they'd share.
Well, I don't know about I wrote an art column for the local paper for a good while. And, but I don't think, do we have them here? I don't know.
I think I put them back.
Did you put them there?
By the way,
That was
Mom
fun to do.
mentioned, we said, you know, Mom made sure we all took piano lessons, but she practiced and I didn't.
Thank you.
She does
That's how we play.
But she reads well, she plays well, but, you know, but.
Yeah, I was too busy doing other
Well,
things.
here's another one that, you know, it's really interesting. No, but not just a minute, as it should be. We're different types of pianists, Peggy. For sure. You know, when she calls me a hopeless romantic. And you know, when I play, I'm romantic on the keyboard, I am. You know, now Peggy's more forceful. You know, but that's great. We all have to be different, you know, be boring. But anyway,
Well, we thank you so much, Eileen, for this lovely evening and for sharing some of your stories. And really, we're going to have you talk again about some of your history
The
that you
genealogy.
know about your family and
It's
about our
pretty
area and all of that. But first, we wanted to capture you tonight. So we thank you so much for this.
well, you know, I have to have help. You know, Leslie there, Llewellyn, Peggy. You know, I am not a speech. I'm more comfortable at the keyboard.